Everyone compares SB19 and K-pop on vocals, visuals, and choreography. But that's the surface conversation. The real difference, the one no one talks about, is business power. Behind the stages, behind the fandom wars, two completely different systems exist. One is factory-built, perfectly optimized, and tightly controlled. The other is self-owned, risk-driven, and painfully earned. This isn't about who dances better. It's about who owns the work, who controls the future, and who profits when the spotlight fades. And once you understand this difference, you'll never look at global pop the same way again. Before the comments explode, like, subscribe, and share, because this isn't a fan war, it's a business breakdown. This conversation isn't SB19 versus K-pop artists. It's one business philosophy versus another. K-pop is a highly structured industry system. Companies design groups from the ground up. Training, branding, music direction, image control, and global rollout are planned years in advance. It's efficient, polished, and scalable. The system works, but the system always comes first. SB19 didn't come from that machine. They emerged outside it, without corporate insulation or guaranteed visibility. No pre-built ecosystem. No inherited pipeline. That difference matters. When people compare SB19 and K-pop as just idols, they miss the real story. One is a product of a perfected system. The other is a result of self-determined survival. This isn't artist versus artist. It's industry-built success versus self-built enterprise. K-pop companies invest heavily upfront. Years of training, housing, coaching, styling, and production are provided before debut. But that investment isn't free, it's recouped. Trainees enter contracts where early earnings often repay years of preparation before real profit begins. SB19's path was the opposite. No massive upfront funding. No corporate safety net. They trained while working, financed their growth, and absorbed the risk personally. Every failure was theirs. Every lesson was earned the hard way. In K-pop, the company assumes financial risk and retains control. In SB19 journey, the artists assumed the risk and fought for ownership. That's the real contrast. Ownership isn't something the industry hands out. It's something you claim by surviving without protection. In pop music, fame is loud, but ownership is quiet. And that silence decides careers. In K-pop, songs are typically owned by the company. Publishing, masters, and royalties often sit with the label, not the idol. Artists perform the music, promote it globally, and build its value, but long-term control usually stays elsewhere. SB19's trajectory has moved differently. Over time, they've taken increasing control over songwriting, production, and creative direction. That shift isn't about ego, it's about survival. Ownership determines who earns when streams slow, tours end, and trends move on. Charts disappear. Viral moments fade. But catalogs pay forever. This is where careers quietly live or die, not on stage, but in contracts no one reads. K-pop idols don't just perform, they're managed brands. Public image, language, behavior, and even silence are strategically controlled. It creates consistency, protects investments, and minimizes risk. From a business perspective, it's efficient. SB19 operates with fewer filters. They speak directly, make mistakes in public, and show exhaustion, frustration, and growth. That openness isn't accidental, it's a different philosophy. Freedom is riskier. There's no corporate buffer. One wrong move travels fast. But freedom also builds credibility. Audiences today don't just follow perfection, they trust honesty. In the long run, authenticity becomes a business advantage, not a liability. Because when the image is real, it doesn't expire. High visibility doesn't always mean high income. In traditional K-pop models, revenue is divided across multiple layers: company, producers, managers, investors, and distribution partners. Even successful tours, endorsements, and merchandise sales are often split in ways that favor the system that funded the launch. An idol can be globally recognizable and still financially limited. SB19's rise was slower, but structurally different. As they gained more control over their operations and partnerships, they strengthened their share in touring, branding, and merchandise decisions. Growth wasn't instant, it was strategic. The result is a foundation built for sustainability, not just exposure. Fame looks impressive online. But wealth is built quietly, contract by contract. And in the long run, ownership beats optics every time. K-pop fandoms are powerful, organized, loyal, and highly efficient. They drive streams, sales, and trends with near-military precision. From a business perspective, fandoms function as elite marketing engines. Aten operates differently. SB19 supporters didn't just consume the product, they grew with it. Fans watched the struggle, supported early risks, and felt invested in the group's survival, not just its success. That creates a different relationship. Transactional loyalty is driven by constant output. Emotional investment is driven by shared history. When fans feel like stakeholders, not customers, support lasts beyond trends. That's how longevity is built, not through hype, but through trust. K-pop's global success is not accidental, it's engineered. Companies plan international rollouts years ahead, multilingual content, overseas partnerships, global tours, and synchronized marketing across platforms. It's a top-down push, designed for scale and saturation. SB19's international growth followed a pull model. No massive foreign marketing budget. No pre-packaged global launch. Their reach expanded through performances, fan sharing, and word-of-mouth momentum. That difference matters. Pushed exposure creates awareness. Pulled attention creates commitment. Organic reach converts differently because it's earned, not imposed. Audiences feel discovery, not advertising. Respect grows faster when presence isn't forced. In global markets, saturation creates visibility. But respect creates longevity, and that's harder to replace. K-pop idols operate with corporate protection, structured teams, legal backing, and crisis management. But that safety net has limits. When contracts end or priorities shift, protection can disappear quickly. SB19 didn't have that cushion. Every decision carried personal risk, financially, creatively, and publicly. If something failed, there was no system to absorb the loss. Survival depended on adaptability. That pressure shapes artists differently. Safety nets produce polished performers. Survival mode produces decision makers. Comfort builds stars who shine within systems. Struggle builds leaders who create systems. And that difference shows not just in music, but in how artists move when the spotlight changes direction. Every pop career faces the same question: what happens when attention moves on? Idol hype is powerful, but it's time-sensitive. Trends shift, generations change, and visibility eventually declines, no matter how big the peak was. This is where ownership quietly determines survival. SB19 trajectory points beyond performance. Songwriting, production involvement, creative direction, and business leadership open doors to second and third careers, as producers, executives, mentors, and decision-makers. These roles don't rely on algorithms or youth. Most fans never think this far ahead. They see stages, not structure. But when touring slows and charts stop updating, only those who own their work can stay relevant without staying visible. Longevity isn't about staying famous. It's about staying powerful when fame fades. This conversation was never about tearing K-pop down. K-pop is one of the most efficient pop systems ever built, and it works. But SB19 represents something different. They show what happens when artists fight for control in a system that wasn't designed for them. When growth is slower, risk is higher, but ownership is non-negotiable. That model doesn't reject polish, it redefines success. The future of Asian pop won't belong to one formula. But it will favor artists who own their voice, their work, and their direction. This isn't hype. It's business reality. K-pop creates stars. SB19 is building a legacy.